My stepbrother swiped my mom's pricey bracelet so he could pay to fix his car after crashing it while drunk. And the worst part? My stepdad actually helped him pin the whole thing on me, which got me kicked out and disowned at 17. For years later, we all ended up at my grandma's 100th birthday party, and what she did that day, let's just say, no one saw it coming. Now, those same people are facing a lawsuit and are practically on their knees begging us to drop it. Just to put this into perspective, I was 17 when it happened, I'm 21 now. I won't dive too deep into all the messy history, but let's just say my relationship with my mom? It was shaky at best. My stepbrother, who was 20 at the time, was treated like royalty, and I was the one constantly watching what I said or did around my mom and stepdad, just trying not to set anyone off. It always felt like my stepbrother had some personal vendetta against me. I honestly never wronged him, but he still went out of his way to make my life feel like a daily punishment. And his dad? Oh, he was right there with him, either egging him on or joining in whenever he could. My mom never stood up to her husband, so naturally, she always took his side. She believed whatever nonsense they came up with and punished me without even asking for my side of the story. It didn't take long for me to realize that nobody in that house truly cared about me, so I stopped trying. I kept to myself, avoided conversation, and barely spoke to any of them. That seemed to bother my stepbrother more than anything. He took it personally, like it was his mission in life to break me down even more. Then came the day when my mom's cherished bracelet went missing, and this wasn't just any piece of jewelry. It meant a lot to her. I didn't even know it had disappeared until I came home from school and walked into a storm. My mom looked furious. My stepdad was glaring at me like I was dirt, and my stepbrother was playing the innocent act to perfection. Right away, I knew something shady was going on, but I couldn't quite figure it out. That's when my stepdad suddenly accused me of stealing the bracelet. He claimed I'd been acting weird lately, desperate for attention, and that I must have taken it. And of course, my stepbrother chimed in like the loyal backup singer he was, saying he'd seen me lurking around my mom's room. For the record, the only thing off about me back then was that I was grieving my rabbit, my pet since I was 10. I was heartbroken. That little guy had been my anchor through my parents' divorce and all the chaos afterward. So yeah, I was emotional, sue me. Honestly, the most attention-seeking thing I did was cry at the dinner table a few nights. And even then, only because my stepbrother decided to joke about how much better the house felt without my ugly little creature. Cruel doesn't even begin to cover it. My mom didn't bother telling him to stop or be kinder. She just told me I was being too emotional and needed to get over it. So when the blame for the bracelet fell on me, I was completely blindsided. I hadn't even realized it was missing, let alone had anything to do with it. I tried to defend myself, tried to explain that I had nothing to do with the theft. But it was useless. My mom had already made up her mind. She snapped, yelling that I was turning into my father, who she constantly referred to as stupid and mentally unstable, and told me to pack up and leave. Just like that, I was out, no warning, no help, just me at 17 with nowhere to go but my dad's place. And from that day on, nothing for the next 4 years. My mom didn't call, didn't text, not even a birthday message. I did my best to reach out and try to clear my name, but she shut me out completely. The truth was, I knew deep down I hadn't taken that bracelet. But that didn't matter to them. My stepbrother and stepdad blamed me, and my mom didn't even question it. She just accepted their word over mine without hesitation. That kind of betrayal, it sticks with you. Still, I tried to move forward. I focused on healing and rebuilding my life as best I could, even though the hurt stayed with me. Now, my dad. He's not exactly the easiest person to live with. He struggles with his mental health and needs a lot of support, so taking care of him became my whole world. If there's one silver lining in all of this, it's that I finally got time with him, real time, and despite everything, I managed to finish high school, then went on to graduate from college. My mom didn't show up for either of those moments. It still stings, but over time, the pain dulled. It never fully disappeared, but I stopped waking up with it in my chest every morning. Fast forward to just a few weeks ago, my grandma was turning 100. Even after everything, I got an invite to her birthday celebration. She'd rented out this charming little farmhouse for the day. I wasn't sure I could handle seeing my mom and her family again, but Grandma and we were close. She'd been there for me when no one else was. After I got kicked out, she couldn't take me in. She lived in a retirement home, but she did what she could, helped me financially, checked in on me constantly. Honestly, she was my best friend. We just got each other. I knew I couldn't miss this milestone. Not for anything. So I took a deep breath and showed up. The second I walked into that party, though, I felt like I'd been transported back in time. All the tension, all the old wounds, they came rushing back, seeing my mom, stepdad, and stepbrother sitting there, laughing like nothing had ever happened, made me physically sick. I kept my distance. I tried to focus on catching up with my cousins, aunts, and uncles, but every time I accidentally glanced in their direction, I'd feel this tight knot in my throat, and I had to fight the urge to cry. My stepbrother didn't even acknowledge me. And my stepdad? He had this smug little smirk on his face that made my blood boil. I wanted so badly to call them out, right then and there, in front of everyone, but I knew this day wasn't about me. It was about Grandma. I didn't want to spoil her celebration. So I tried to stay strong, just get through the afternoon. And then something happened that I never expected. At some point during the party, my relatives and all of Grandma's old friends started chanting and begging her to give a toast, especially since it was her day. She smiled, agreed, and stood up. She began by thanking everyone for being there, said she felt incredibly lucky to have lived such a long, full life, and that she cherished the memories she had with each and every person in the room. But then, completely out of nowhere, she brought up my mom's missing bracelet. She said she had recently found out exactly what happened to it, and that it had been stolen by my stepbrother. I swear, I actually felt my heart skip a beat when she said that. She explained that just a week before the party, she'd been chatting with an old friend of hers who owned a pawn shop. They were reminiscing about the past when the topic of my mom's bracelet came up, and that's when her friend mentioned that, years ago, someone had come into a shop trying to sell a bracelet that looked exactly like the one my mom lost. Grandma showed him a photo of the original, and he recognized it immediately. As it turns out, he'd written down the name and ID of the person who sold it, and that person was my stepbrother. After a little coaxing, her friend admitted that my stepbrother had been really nervous when he sold it and ended up blurting out the whole story behind why he was pawning off something so valuable. Apparently, he even told him that his dad would cover for him, just so he wouldn't get in trouble with me or my mom. What actually happened was, he'd gotten into a minor accident while drunk, wrecked the front of his car, and didn't want to tell anyone. So instead of asking for help, he stole the bracelet and sold it to pay for the repairs. Honestly, I doubt the car repairs even cost as much as he got for that bracelet. I don't know what else he used the money on, and honestly, I don't really want to know, but he was terrified of getting caught, and that's when he and my stepdad made up the story about me being the one who stole it. When Grandma's friend first confirmed it had been my stepbrother who sold him the bracelet, she said she was shocked, but instead of confronting him right away, she kept digging, and everything her friend told her checked out. She had proof. She sat with it for a few days, trying to decide what to do, but in the end, she chose to wait for her party, so that everyone would be there to hear the truth at the same time. She said she didn't want to just clear my name privately. She wanted the people who hurt me to be exposed in front of the same family they had turned against me, so they couldn't hide behind silence anymore. And once she finished her toast and dropped that bombshell, the entire room went dead silent. I looked around and saw my mom's face go bright red. My stepbrother just stood there, frozen. My stepdad looked like someone had dragged his skeleton out of a closet. As for me, I didn't know what to feel. Part of me wanted to yell, another part wanted to cry, but mostly I just went numb. It was like the pain and anger I'd bottled up over the last 4 years all came crashing down on me at once, and I couldn't sit there and watch whatever was about to happen next, so I got up and quietly walked out of the party. I didn't say anything, I just left. I needed space, I needed to breathe and think and let it all sink in. I'd finally been vindicated after all this time. My name cleared, the truth out in the open, but instead of relief, I felt empty. I felt incredibly sad. The next morning, Grandma came by my place to check on me. She was genuinely worried she might have gone too far by putting our private family drama on public display, but I told her how grateful I was. I told her she did what nobody else had the courage to do, and that meant everything to me. She said she understood that I might need time to process and told me not to rush anything with my mom. She also promised me she'd stand by my side no matter what my mom or anyone else in the family said about me. Whatever decision I made, she'd support it. And now, I honestly don't know what to do. My mom hasn't stopped trying to contact me since the party. At first, her texts and voicemails were full of apologies. She kept saying she was sorry and wanted to make things right, but over time, her tone changed. She started accusing me of manipulating Grandma and trying to ruin her relationship with my stepdad. Of course, that hurt. It always hurts, and deep down, I can't help but wonder, would she ever really choose me over the man who helped frame me and the son who actually committed the crime? I know it sounds harsh, but that's where my mind goes. That's how broken all of this feels. She's still asking to meet. She wants to talk, but I don't know if I'm ready. I don't think I'll ever be able to trust her again. And even if she did apologize for real, after everything that's happened, how would I even begin to believe her? She cast me out like I didn't matter, like I was disposable, and now that the truth's out, It's like she's the one who suddenly needs saving. I'm just not sure I have anything left to give her. As for my stepbrother and stepdad, I haven't heard a single word from either of them, and honestly, I don't want to. They destroyed my relationship with my mom and flipped my whole world upside down. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive them for that. So yeah, maybe I'm still bitter. Maybe I'm still struggling to look at my mom without all that hurt bubbling back up, but I think I'm allowed to feel that way after everything. Update 1. It's been a week since I last posted, and I've completely lost track of how many people messaged and commented asking for an update. So here it is. First, thank you to everyone who reached out with kind words, advice, or even criticism. Seriously, thank you. It blew my mind how many people genuinely cared about what I was going through. A lot of you told me to cut contact with my mom completely, and others said maybe give her a chance to explain herself. Well, I ended up meeting with her even though everything in me was screaming not to. I don't really know why I agreed. Maybe I just wanted closure. Maybe I was clinging to some sliver of hope that she might finally show real regret and own up to what she did. So I texted her and said we could meet at this little cafe we used to go to when I was younger. It felt like neutral ground. When I got there, she was already sitting down and looked kind of nervous. Seeing her again after all that time, especially after the party bombshell, was surreal. For a split second, I let myself wonder if maybe things could go back to the way they used to be, but that feeling didn't last. She started by saying she was sorry, that she knew she'd messed up and that she regretted believing my stepdad and stepbrother. She said the last few weeks had been rough, and she felt like she'd failed as a mom. I'll admit it, I was starting to soften. I thought maybe we could try to rebuild something, even if it wasn't perfect. But then the whole vibe shifted. She started going on and on about how overwhelmed she'd been back then and how she didn't know who to believe, which I guess I can understand, but it still doesn't make it okay that she turned her back on me for 4 years. Then out of nowhere she hit me with the worst part. She said she wasn't entirely sure I didn't manipulate Grandma into making that toast. I was floored, like I literally sat there in silence trying to wrap my head around how she could still think that low of me. After everything, she still didn't fully trust me. All that stuff she texted about wanting to make things right suddenly felt fake. She wasn't here to take responsibility. She was here to offload her guilt or shift some of the blame onto me. I told her straight up that it wasn't fair. I reminded her that she chose to believe them and never gave me a chance. And instead of really hearing me, she doubled down and said I was being unfair to her, that they tricked her and it wasn't her fault. She even suggested I should forgive them because family is family. That was it. I couldn't listen anymore. She wasn't sorry for how she hurt me. She was sorry she got caught. And embarrassed in front of everyone, I told her not to reach out again unless she was ready to actually own what she did. Then I got up and walked out. Since that day, I've felt weird. That's the only way I can explain it. On one hand, I'm glad I got to confront her and finally see things for what they really are. But on the other hand, I'm so angry I gave her a chance and she blew it. She's still more concerned with saving face than actually fixing what she broke. I spent years hoping for closure, and now I see that it probably won't ever come. And to make it worse, I heard from one of my cousins that my stepbrother and stepdad have been running around trying to twist the whole story. Apparently, they've been telling anyone who'll listen that I'm just being dramatic and blowing things way out of proportion. My cousin said my stepbrother was even bragging about how their side of the family is sticking together while I'm out here isolating myself. I don't know what's next, but I'm done. My mom isn't going to change, and those two, they've already caused enough chaos in my life. I'm so tired of getting hurt by the people who are supposed to care the most. So yeah, that's where things stand. I'm not rushing into forgiveness, and I don't know if I ever will. Update 2. Okay, so I wasn't planning on writing another update, but things took a turn I didn't expect. Just when I thought the drama was over, my family had other plans. Remember how I said my mom, stepdad, and stepbrother were still trying to spin the story? Yeah, that blew up in their faces. After I met with my mom, I went completely no contact, blocked her number, ignored any relatives trying to guilt trip me into giving her another chance. I was done, but then 2 weeks later, I got a call from my grandma. She asked if I could come by and talk. I didn't know what it was about, but she was the only one who stood by me through all of this, so I went. Turns out, while going through some old financial records from the family business, Grandma found something. She had already been suspicious after everything with the bracelet, and she started digging a little deeper. What she found honestly shocked even her. Turns out my stepdad and stepbrother had been running a long con behind everyone's back for years. And no, it wasn't just about the bracelet anymore. They had been stealing money straight from the company's accounts, draining funds from my mom's personal finances, and even opening lines of credit under her name, racking up debt she didn't even know existed. It was a full-blown scam operation. So, how did Grandma catch it? Ironically, It was because my stepbrother had absolutely zero clue how credit card statements work. He'd been using the company's accounts to pay for random things like custom suit fittings and barbershop visits. Stuff my grandma knew for a fact wasn't being done by my mom. My stepdad always kept a clean-cut appearance, so it didn't take much for her to put two and two together. But then she found something worse. A fake loan taken out in my mom's name, used to fund my stepbrother's ridiculously expensive lifestyle, and it wasn't a one-time thing either. They'd been pulling this garbage for years, and my mom had been completely in the dark. Grandma had finally had enough, but instead of calling the cops, she did what only she could. She made her move through her lawyer. She disinherited my mom. Yeah, completely. Everything that was once meant to go to her, gone. Grandma redirected all of it, including a sizable portion directly to me. She told me that anyone who could throw their child away, like my mom did to me, had no business managing the family's legacy, and after watching my mom refuse to own up to anything, even after the truth came out, Grandma was done. But she didn't stop there. She made sure my stepbrother and stepdad couldn't touch a single cent. She blocked them from every trust, every asset, every legal pathway they thought they had, and to make sure they couldn't keep leeching off my mom, she even offered to help her sell the house, mainly to make sure none of them could continue benefiting from her name financially. Naturally, my stepbrother lost it. He had a full-on tantrum when he found out. He tried pressuring my mom to fight Grandma on it, but legally, there's nothing she can do. She didn't protect herself financially, and now she's stuck with these two leeches clinging to her while everything around her crumbles. And here's the real kicker. My stepbrother had the audacity to text me, like me, after everything. He sent this dramatic message trying to play the victim, saying he's broke, can't pay his bills, and that he was under so much pressure from our stepdad. He even tried painting it like he never meant for things to spiral this far. It made my blood boil. The same guy who helped get me kicked out at 17 was now begging for my help. Still not taking ownership, still pointing fingers, I replied with one sentence. You made your bed, now lie in it. That's all he got from me. I don't feel sorry for him. Not one bit. He and his dad shattered my life, shattered my relationship with my mom, and now they're finally reaping what they've sown. Grandma warned me that they might try to spin this against me again, make me out to be the bad guy, and honestly, I believe her. That's exactly the kind of stunt they'd pull. As for my mom, she's a mess. She keeps calling and texting, trying to fix things. I only replied once. I told her that unless she's ready to take full accountability and stop deflecting blame, I'm done. I won't keep letting her hurt me just because she doesn't want to face the reality she helped create. There's still a lot that's unresolved, especially whether she'll ever break free from those two, or if she's just too far gone. I guess time will tell. For now, I'm focusing on myself, but I have this gut feeling this story isn't over just yet. Grandma wasn't bluffing when she said she was taking back the house. Turns out she wasn't just helping my mom list it. She was forcing the sale. See, technically the property had always belonged to Grandma. My mom was only living there thanks to a trust arrangement that Grandma controlled behind the scenes. So when Grandma cut financial ties with my mom, that included the roof over her head, but Grandma didn't throw her out right away. She gave her a chance. She said Mom could stay if she kicked out my stepdad and stepbrother. Just them. That was the deal. But of course, my mom couldn't bring herself to turn on the man who helped burn her entire life to the ground. So Grandma pulled the plug. In less than a week, the house was on the market, and they were all given 30 days to vacate. And my stepdad? Oh, he absolutely lost it. Full-blown public freakout. He tried shouting down the real estate agents, threatened Grandma with lawsuits, even though his own lawyer told him he didn't have a leg to stand on. And of course, he tried to manipulate my mom into fighting back. Meanwhile, my stepbrother had the nerve to ask my mom to start selling her personal belongings just so he could keep paying off his luxury car loan. Like, the entitlement is unreal. Some days I honestly feel relieved that I didn't grow up under my mom's roof. If I had, maybe I'd have ended up just as delusional and selfish as he is. After they got cut off, the adjustment hit hard. No more weekend shopping hauls, no more high-end salons or spontaneous travel. All of it, gone. And I'm not going to lie, watching that fall from grace? It was satisfying. It felt like justice finally catching up. And remember how my stepbrother tried reaching out for help? I haven't heard a word from him since I shut him down in my last message. I guess he's too busy trying to figure out how to survive now that he can't sponge off everyone else. But wait, it gets better. My stepdad decided to go out with one last desperate move. He filed for divorce. Yep, the same man my mom threw everything away for, the guy she defended over me. Walked out on her the moment the money dried up. He thought maybe he could squeeze a decent settlement out of her. But surprise, there's nothing left to take. Grandma made sure of it. All the assets are locked down tight, and he's got nothing to show for his years of scheming. As for my mom, we haven't spoken since that last conversation where I told her I wasn't interested in reconnecting unless she fully owned up to her role in all of this. She still hasn't. She's clinging to her narrative, blaming me, blaming Grandma, basically blaming everyone but herself. And honestly, I've accepted that. It hurts. But I'm done hoping for something she's not ready to give until she's willing to confront the truth about how she let herself be used and how she hurt me in the process. I don't see us rebuilding anything. But through all of it, Grandma's been my anchor. We've gotten closer than ever, and she's made it clear she wants to make sure I'm secure, especially after everything I've endured. So yeah, I guess that's the end of this chaotic chapter. My mom, stepdad, and stepbrother are finally facing the consequences of their choices, and me? I'm in a stronger place, mentally, emotionally, and financially. They won't be dragging me down anymore. That part of my life is over. To everyone who's followed along, dropped a kind comment, or just listened, thank you, truly. Hopefully, the next time I check in, 5 years from now, I'll be telling you just how amazing life has gotten since I walked away from all that toxicity. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to subscribe,